welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. We made our way to Rajkot and we will get you the very latest from what's happening in Gujarat in exactly 25 minutes from now. But right now we're talking about another fresh debate which has been kick-started in Gujarat, in Maharashtra and all parts of the country by Rahul Gandhi. Earlier, he had paid tribute to freedom fighter Birsa Munda, the tribal freedom fighter, and he had at that point made a comparison with VD Savarkar, saying that while we worship the ideology and the patriotism of the likes of Birsa Munda, it is the BJP and RSS who believe in people like VD Savarkar. Today, he reiterated that charge in Maharashtra and even quoted from a letter to say that VD Savarkar, while writing to the British, had said, "I remain your most obedient servant," which according to the former Congress president means that Mr. Savarkar had literally made himself a knocker of the British. Listen in first.
ये सावरकर जी की चिट्ठी है जिसमें उन्होंने अंग्रेजों को लिखा है और मैं सिर्फ आखिरी लाइन पढ़ना चाहता हूँ। अंग्रेजी में लिखी है तो मैं अंग्रेजी में बोल देता हूँ। I beg to remain, sir, your most obedient servant, VD Savarkar. ये मैंने नहीं लिखा, ये सावरकर जी ने लिखा है। तो इसको आप पढ़ लीजिए, देख लीजिए। अगर फडणवीस जी देखना चाहते हैं इसको वो भी देख लें। तो मैं तो इसमें बहुत क्लियर हूं, सावरकर जी ने अंग्रेजों की मदद की थी।
Now, all the historical inaccuracies or whether this is factual or not aside, what these comments have done is put into a very, very hot soup the Hindutva ally of the Congress in Maharashtra, the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena. Why? Because Uddhav Thackeray has repeatedly said that he respects VD Savarkar, that they want the Bharat Ratna for him, but yet his son and former Maharashtra Minister Aditya Thackeray just a few days ago walked hand in hand with the same Rahul Gandhi declaring that he is doing it for the Constitution and for Indian democracy. So is the Shiv Sena then trying to save democracy by holding the hand of those who denigrate Savarkar?
आदरणीय स्वतंत्रवीर सावरकर, उनके बारे में हमारे मन में, दिल में श्रद्धा और प्रेम है, निष्ठा है। वो ऐसे जाएंगे नहीं, जाने वाले नहीं, और कोई भी कितना भी प्रयत्न करे तो उसको हम हटाने नहीं देंगे। लेकिन साथ ही साथ जिन लोगों का स्वातंत्र्य संग्राम जाने ना 75 साल पूरे हो गए, उसके पहले जो भी हमें सवाल कर रहे हैं उनका योगदान क्या है स्वतंत्रता के लिए? क्या उनके कितने लोग अंदर गए थे, जेल में गए थे, और कितने लोगों ने बलिदान किया है? जिनका कोई योगदान नहीं रहा, ऐसे लोगों को अधिकार नहीं स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकर के बारे में हमें सवाल पूछने का।
पण मला अतिशय वाईट एका गोष्टीचं वाटतं की स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकरांच्या बद्दल जो जाज्वल्य अभिमान बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंना होता, आणि ज्यावेळी कोणीही सावरकरांच्या विरुद्ध एक शब्दही बोलला तर त्याला चपकल अशा प्रकारचं उत्तरही मिळत होतं, ते कृतीतूनही मिळत होतं।
आणि त्यानंतर ते एकमेव हिंदू सम्राट हे बाळासाहेब ठाकरे हे रोज आम्हाला सांगण्याची गरज नाही। कोणाला असं वाटत असेल तर पहा, वीर सावरकरांचा विषय आहे। द्या ना भारतरत्न, अडवलंय कोणी तुम्हाला? आम्ही मागणी करतोय, हिंदू हृदय सम्राट स्वातंत्र्यवीर सावरकरांना भारतरत्न द्यायला हवा। का दिला जात नाही? इतकंच कशाला? हिंदू हृदय सम्राटांविषयी आपल्याला इतकंच प्रेम आहे तर बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंनाही सावरकरांच्या बरोबरीने भारतरत्न मिळाला पाहिजे।
आने वाले भविष्य में यदि आपने सावरकर जी के बारे में अपमानजनक भाषा का प्रयोग किया तो सावरकर भक्तों को आप यदि उकसाओगे तो आपकी यात्रा का स्वागत कोई अन्य तरीके से करना होगा।
Which leads us to a big question. With repeatedly historical documents being produced by the Congress to make such claims, are these historical facts which the right wing, the BJP, the RSS simply cannot shrug off about VD Savarkar? Is the Shiv Sena trying to generationally, from Uddhav Thackeray to Aditya Thackeray, trying to slowly distance itself from the legacy and the issue of Savarkar? And if not, then are they really trying to run with the Hindutva hair and still hunt with the Congress hound?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us now on the debate, we have Professor Rakesh Sinha, who is a member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha. We have Uddhav Thackeray, author, joining us, along with Yogi Gade, leader of the Shiv Sena. Dr. Sumanth Raman, political analyst. We also have Ranjit Savarkar, grandson of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, with us. But Dr. Sumanth Raman, I want to first start by asking you, really, I remain your most obedient servant translates to, मैं आपका नौकर हूँ?
Look, I remain your most obedient servant. Forget the servant part. I remain most obedient. That is the operative part. Somebody who says, I remain obedient to the British, somebody who got pension from the British, somebody who wrote...
So before we decide the operative part, just according to you, what does this translate to? It translates to, I want to be your servant. मैं आपका नौकर हूँ, because that was literally what it was translated to.
No.
And what we have been told through the day.
It means I will remain faithful to you. I will be obedient to you. I will be subservient to you. I will not go against your wishes. That is what it means. And I thought that it is very simple and not too difficult a phrase to understand. When you say I remain your obedient servant, it
isn't actually. It isn't. But sometimes one gets confused. Because, you know, here's what happens. When we were in school, we were taught this very archaic letter writing, and we were told to write all sorts of silly things which generally sensible people would not write. What could it mean? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in asking that. So let me quote to you another letter which was written on the 22nd of June. Dr. Sumanth Raman, hold on a second. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm accusing nobody of nothing. What I am doing actually is reading out to you a letter which was written on the 22nd of June 1920. Hold on a second. I am saying nothing. I am not saying that at all. I am saying in letter writing, I for one was taught to write some very silly things which was very archaic and made no sense at all. But coming back to this present letter writing, all these skills tend to get a little archaic. On the 22nd of June 1920, a letter was written where it has been said, I have the honor, sir, to remain your excellency's obedient servant. One guess, Dr. Sumanth Raman, who wrote this letter? Again, let me quote to you. I have the honor to remain your excellency's obedient servant. So there is obedient and there is an honor about being obedient. Who signed off on this letter? One guess.
But
One
there
guess.
is also a past tense.
Who signed
Whoever
off on this
wrote
letter?
There is a past tense. I had.
Who signed off on this letter?
Means
Come on.
past tense. I had
No,
once
sir.
been.
I
had once been obedient.
Have
now
the
I am
honor.
no longer obedient.
I have the honor.
Padmaja,
Sir,
this
it's
is
on
not
your
a good
screen right
example
now.
to quote.
It is written
This
there.
is not even.
Dr. Sumanth Raman, you are really going to quibble. You are going to quibble about grammar, but unfortunately, even that is misplaced. I have
You read it. You read it.
H-A-V-E. Have.
Okay, but you did
Have
read it
in
as
the
had.
present. I have the honor, sir. Sorry, sir, I'm in the middle of traffic. I'm standing on a road. I'm standing in Rajkot. I do not have the comfort of a living room like you do. Maybe. But let me now correct my grammar and tell you it says, I have the honor, sir, of being your obedient servant. Who signed off on this letter in the year 1920?
Whoever signed off on it in 1920 would not have received pension.
It was
from
Mohandas
the British
Karamchand
till
Gandhi.
British left India
Now, unless
in
you are saying,
1947. It could have been
unless
Gandhi,
you are saying,
it could have been
sir,
Nehru.
unless you are
I'm
saying
not
that the father of
what
our nation
you are
was
point-
taking pride and happiness in being the servant and obedient to the British, you're doing a great disservice. I don't agree with this characterization of the father of my nation.
1920.
So are we settled now?
I'm sorry.
Are we settled now on that issue?
What did
That
the
to
father
sign
of
off
the
a letter
nation-
saying,
No, we are
I
not.
remain your obedient
No, we are
servant is not to
No,
say,
we
मैं
are
आपका
not.
नौकर हूँ.
No, we are not.
So why
the
did-
father
why
of the
did Gandhi
nation
ji sign
receive,
it off?
Pension from British until 1947. Sorry.
First, have we settled
in
this issue?
1920,
Have we settled
there
the
could
issue
have
of the
been
sign-off?
100
Because tomorrow
reasons
it may
for
come up
Mahatma
again.
Gandhi. No, we have not.
Have we settled this debate?
Did Gandhi ask for mercy?
Exactly.
Did Gandhi
So in
ask for pardon?
1920,
Did
sir,
Gandhi say-
in
did
1920,
Gandhi ask
sir,
for- yes,
in 1920,
where,
sir,
Savarkar.
In 1920, sir.
Multiple letters. Please, Padmaja, let's.
Do you respect Ram Prasad Bismil?
Well-documented history.
Do you remember Ram Prasad Bismil? The person who is one of our foremost revolutionaries.
Yes, I remember Ram Prasad.
Do you respect Ram Prasad Bismil?
As far as
you remember? Do you respect him? Do you think Bismil deserves our respect?
Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, they did not write mercy petitions to British. They were all imprisoned for years.
Okay, so they are. So now you are in principle okay with the sign off.
8 or 9.
Okay, now you are in principle. Okay, so you are now in principle okay with the sign off of I remain your most obedient servant.
What did he say? Please pardon me.
Okay, what is the matter that? Okay, the sign off is not okay. It will depend on what is written before that. Professor Rakesh Sinha.
I will not involve myself in politics.
Okay.
I will remain your obedient servant.
Right. Right. So very quickly, actually let me bring in the biographer of VD Savarkar. Hold on. What matters, Uday Mahurkar, is what comes before. The sign off is one thing. Obedient servant or no obedient servant, pleasure or no pleasure, what comes before that is when you say, I shall remain out of active politics for whatever period of time that your excellency might decide. Did Gandhiji ever write such a letter? Did Ram Prasad Bismil ever write such a letter? Uday Mahurkar?
No, let us go ahead. You see, history and letters are being quoted selectively to denigrate Savarkar, and the biggest proof is what I am reading now. You see, Savarkar wrote 10 apologies, mercy petitions to the British, not 1, 2 or 4 or 6, 10 petitions. There was a strategy behind it, and Savarkar was a follower of Shivaji, not Gandhi. You cannot weigh Savarkar's actions with Gandhi's tools. Chhatrapati Shivaji, in his span of 36 years as a ruler and as a fighter, wrote 5 apology letters to Aurangzeb. 3 of these were followed by a treaty between Mughals and Marathas. And all the three treaties were broken by Shivaji only, because it was part of his larger strategy. Correct? And Shivaji was ultimately the ruler. But let us go further into it. In 1913, December, Reginald Craddock, he was the home member to whom Savarkar had written his mercy petitions. What he writes to the jail in charge of Andaman Nicobar. I am reading out the letter which he wrote. This is a clincher. He says, in the case of Savarkar, it is quite impossible to give him any liberty here. And I think he would escape from any Indian jail. So important a leader he is that the European section of the Indian anarchists would plot for his escape, which would before long be organized. If he were allowed outside the cellular jail in the Andamans, his escape would be certain. His friends would easily charter a steamer to lie off one of the islands, and a little money distributed locally would do the needful, do the rest. This is the letter written by Craddock. I think there cannot be a greater evidence of what Savarkar's letters meant.
But
and Savarkar has not hidden this.
Quoted, okay, but in this letter he also says, whether you believe it or not, I am sincere. I just want to get one clarification. He's written very clearly, I am sincere in expressing my earnest intention of treading. If you can just turn down the light a little bit, because it's literally shining in my eyes and I can't see anything, of treading the constitutional path and trying my humble best to render the hands of the British Dominion a bond of love and respect and mutual help. That is also what he says in this letter. He is saying love and respect and mutual help with the British Dominion.
No, it's a Padmaja, let us not go into the language. It's a standard mercy petition or standard apology letter which has been written by others also. Point is how those people who received these apology letters from Savarkar viewed him. They knew that this was part of his larger strategy to free himself from the jail and then start the struggle against Britishers all over again.
Okay, it was a part of his larger strategy to restart his struggle against the British. But Professor Rakesh Sinha, today the political parties are saying that this is unpardonable. This is unpardonable. The fact that he seemed to be a supplicant of the British. Strategy or no strategy?
There is a race for Muslim votes in this country.
Padmaja, you know, nowhere in the world history is so fractured as it is in India. And nowhere in the world some of the leaders who have the blinkered vision, which gives the history not the sense of nationalism but the sense of denationalism. I am telling you because the Rahul Gandhi's sense of history is so poor, and Congress and the people like Suman is borrowing their sense of history. That is a most unfortunate. I am giving two examples. Maharishi Aurobindo left in that time Indian British territory that was known for India and went to Pondicherry. Does it mean that Aurobindo was a traitor? Ram Prasad Bismil in the Kakori conspiracy case. Ram Prasad Bismil and Asfullah Khan both had written mercy petition to the High Court, Federal Court and the Viceroy. Madan Mohan Malviya managed 72 intellectuals from Kasi who wrote that he should be forgiven. And Ram Prasad Bismil wrote that he had indulged in the revolutionary activity which was wrong. In future he would not indulge in the revolutionary activity. This is the strategy of the revolutionary movement. British regime was not a legitimate regime. It was not an elected government. They were the people who came from outside to rule us through unethical means, using the force. Therefore, the revolutionaries had different strategy to deal with the Britishers and imperialism. And this is true in the sense of you go to even the foreign countries like Africa and other countries. Revolutionaries always adopted such a strategy. As far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, I am telling him that he should read the history in the sense of Savarkar's sacrifice is unparalleled. Where was Nehru? Where was Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru? Shyamji Krishna Burma was the father of the Indian Revolution. He was in London. He was hunted by the Britishers. He went to Paris, then to Geneva. Before his death in 1930, he wrote a will that after India become independence, his assets should go to his motherland. What happened? He died in 1930. And his assets was brought to India, none other than the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who was then the Gujarat Chief Minister. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of the country. His assets were brought to India from Geneva, 1947 to 2002.
Respond to the specific examples given that have been made by Professor Rakesh Sinha. Dr. Sumanth Raman, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, Ram Prasad Bismil, all revolutionaries have used this as a strategy, yet you decide to cherry pick because you want to hit out at one man.
1 second. Oh, no. We have to look at what they did after their release from prison, as the case may have been. What did Mr. Savarkar do after he was released from prison? He says...
What did he do after release? Professor Sinha will tell you. It's a great question you asked. Professor Sinha, exactly. He said that in his letter. But what did he do when he was actually released? Did he go back to revolution? Have you read his Have you read his biography, sir? Professor Sinha, did he go back? Did he go back to fighting the British after he was given this release? Professor Sinha, go on. Let's talk on facts. Professor Sinha.
I am answering. Yes. Yes, I am coming. There are two phases in Savarkar's life. One phase was the revolutionary phase, and in other phase, he had propounded the concept of geocultural nationalism. That was essential because Britishers were proving that India was never a nation. The challenge before the India was a theoretical formulation of the nationalism in the country. People were demoralized because it was said and it was made to believe the Indians that nationalism is coming from countries like United States, United Kingdom, others. It is unfortunate. India is a land 10,000 years old. Here Savarkar's greatness is that by his authoring the tractor Hindutva, he propounded the concept of nationalism in the context of geocultural nationalism. It was not against any community, any race. In fact, he propounded that the basis of Indian
nationalism. Okay, Mr. Yogi Gade, the real question though, it all comes down to this. Today you have Mr. Gandhi again reiterating that this person is basically declaring himself a knocker of the British, Mr. Yogi Gade. And here is somebody who you hug, your leader walks hand in hand with, and together they claim to save democracy. So either you think VD Savarkar is the British country's servant or was the Britishers' servant, or you think he's a hero. It can't be both.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Yes. Swatantra Veer Savarkar ji is one of the tallest freedom fighters we have. And yes, Shiv Sena is the party since 15 years, and today also Honorable Party President Uddhav Thackeray Sahib has demanded he be given the Bharat Ratna. Why is the government not giving Bharat Ratna to Veer Savarkar ji?
Do you condemn that what Mr. Gandhi has said? Do you condemn what Mr. Gandhi has said then? Do you think it's condemnable and shameful?
Yes, we condemn what Mr. Gandhi has said because Veer Savarkar ji is one of the tallest freedom fighters we have.
Then should Mr. Aditya Thackeray come out openly and say so?
Yes,
because he said he's the one who participated with Mr. Gandhi in Bharat Jodo.
That's wrong. Shiv Sena has not left Hindutva. Instead, you can say if BJP has gone with PDP in Kashmir, does that mean BJP left Hindutva if they have gone with PDP in Kashmir? No. It's the same way.
So this is not about Hindutva. This is about one person who you decide to ally with and what they think about a second individual. You can only think one way about an individual. Either that person is a good person or that person is a bad person.
When BJP formed government with PDP in Kashmir, did BJP leave their ideology because they went with Mehbooba Mufti in Kashmir? No, right? The same way.
Okay, Uddhav Thackeray, you think it is okay when they say that the Shiv Sena believes what Rahul Gandhi says about saving democracy from Mr. Modi, but the Shiv Sena doesn't believe what Mr. Gandhi says about VD Savarkar. Uddhav Thackeray.
Now, what do you want to ask? Just repeat.
I'm saying, do you believe the Shiv Sena when they say we only agree with Rahul Gandhi's thoughts on Mr. Modi and democracy, but we don't agree with Mr. Rahul Gandhi's thoughts on Savarkar?
You see, Shiv Sena is in a catch-22 situation on Savarkar because all along it has praised Savarkar. Bal Thackeray ji was always a great admirer of Savarkar, and therefore Shiv Sena finds, I think, in a very piquant situation, you know, because for political purposes they had to leave a natural alliance and join Congress, and now Congress is not willing to compromise even on things like Savarkar, you know, in spite of knowing the fact, because Congress' main constituency is Muslim votes. Today's Congress, having lost large constituencies of voters, you know, Muslim constituency remains their main constituency, you know. So they have to attack Savarkar to get minority votes. Shiv Sena will have to decide as to how to go about
Interesting
this
you say that.
catch-22 situation.
Interesting you say that because all of this is happening bang in the middle of the Gujarat elections, which has famously been called the laboratory of Hindutva in India, and a place where Hindu identity remains even now a very strident topic and a very emotive topic for most of the voters. We'll have to see if this finds resonance in battleground Gujarat as well. For the time being though, thank you very much all gentlemen for joining me with your wisdom. Now